Good evening and welcome to the February 21st, 2012 Waterboro Board of Selectmen meeting. If you would kindly stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And welcome on this chilly evening in February. Are there any announcements? Okay, seeing none, we'll move right along to hearing of delegation. Is there anyone that has any business they'd like to bring before the board this evening?
Is that where you want Doug to come in on Chapman's Ridge Road, or?
That's under new business.
Oh, it is,
Yeah, that's
okay.
under new
I
business.
haven't got my agenda up yet.
Yeah, he's item 4 on there.
You've got a couple other things you want to do business, you want.
Why don't we do them right now? That way we don't have to go through the whole motions of adding them to the agenda. Not that that's a big deal, but for the sake of expediency.
I think you've got in your packet there, 3 different letters that I received from Sebago Technics. One of them is a long ongoing problem that we have with the West Road. We've received numerous complaints from both the school, citizens, and the state police, and I believe the sheriff's department. Is that correct, Nancy?
Yes.
And we have had, this has been brought up before the board previously. We've contacted DOT. DOT says the bridge is all right, there's no problems. They feel that there's no danger there. So when we had Owens coming out here, I called Nancy, I said I'd like to take him over there and have him, we had to have them write a report on the bridge so that we could go to the DOT, because this thing is going downhill all the time. If you look on page 2 of the report, you will see pictures of the, well, if you look on page 1, you'll see the first picture. To the left-hand side of the picture is where the washout is that most people are complaining about. You look at that guardrail post, and probably 6 feet to the left of that, the road is undermining, and did we go over there, Gordon?
Yes, I took pictures.
And you brought them into a meeting a while ago. Those are the pictures that Gordon had. Now, we went downriver and looked up, and you can see the deterioration in the face of the wall. And if you look down to the bottom in that picture, you can see that both head walls are undermined. If you go to the next page, you'll see that the picture on the right says concrete deterioration mid-span guardrail. That guardrail is just hanging there. If somebody hits that, they're going to go through that. There's one bolt that you can wiggle that guardrail. And if you look at the scouring at the base of the structure, you'll see that the concrete bottom that was in the culvert is gone completely, and that the head walls are not setting on anything. If you go to page 3, interior of the box, I'm sorry you people on the television can't see this, but we're talking about a box culvert on the West Road at the intersection of West Road and Federal Street. The interior of the box, you can see that the floor is completely gone in where it says interior of the box on the left, and in the right, that's the right-hand side of the bridge that when Gordon and I was over there was not undermined like that.
Oh, that's significantly worse now.
That is a bicycle inner tube you see there that looks kind of like a snake or a sausage or whatever.
Yeah.
And underneath that piece of concrete, I took a stick, and you can run that out underneath the road for a distance of probably 2 to 2.5 feet. It just appears to me that this is, you know, a situation that needs correcting. I don't know what to do at this point. We've tried DOT, they say this is not an unsafe situation. So I think that we should send this to John Courtney and to our House representative, and then send a copy to the governor's office with a letter saying that, you know, we've tried to get MDOT to look at this, and they tell us this is safe, and there's got to be somewhere between 40 and 60 school buses a day going by there. Oh, there we go. If you look at the top right-hand picture, you'll see that the guardrail is just hanging on by a thread. And the left-hand picture is looking at it from the top. You can see that there's just a small piece of the pavement side that's got one bolt left holding it on. This is the outlet side of the bridge, or the box culvert, where you can see that the scouring at the bottom has taken all of the support material out from underneath it, and has taken the complete bottom out of the box culvert. This, the left-hand side, it says interior of the box. You can see that there are just little slabs of concrete left, and the rest is the water's flowing, and it's actually flowing underneath the concrete walls of the box culvert. If you look at the right one, where it says erosion at the abutment, you'll see that there's a guardrail post at the top right that's just sitting on soft dirt, and that extended slab of horizontal concrete there, I have no idea where that came from. It does not appear to be attached to the box culvert itself. It looks like they just put it in there as fill. And it is undermined so that when that dirt on the pavement side of that decides to fall away, we're going to end up with a quite large hole in the road. And that's going to be well out into the pavement. That's the deterioration on the downward side of the outlet side, and you can see that the salt and time has taken its toll. There appears to be no rebar visible in that, and it's poured with rocks of 5 to 8 inch rocks and just concrete. It's typical of what was done back in the 30s, 40s, and 50s before ready-mix concrete was so available. You can see down the bottom where Gordon's putting the little red light that the bottom has eroded out from underneath the support, and we have I think, a serious issue here.
Do we have a report from the DOT?
Yes, we do. It was, I think we got it a year ago. The road review has a copy of it too. Gotta dig it out.
Because if
It's a
we're
bridge
gonna
inspection that
make
they
a
did.
little bit of a, if we're gonna make an issue out of this, which I think we should, we probably ought to have whatever written documentation from the state that says this is okay.
For some reason, I was thinking they said it was in their,
5-year plan? or
it's their
something?
in the 2014 or 2015 range.
It was at the tail end of their 5-year plan.
Well,
I think it needs to be at the front end of their 5-year plan.
they need to do something to shore this thing up until they get to their 5-year plan, because right now their 5-year plan could be 10-year plan, because it's, the finances up there are their financial house is not in order.
You think?
When we did receive the report, if you remember, we'd asked Doug to meet with them, and I think they came out on their own, didn't they? They didn't call you?
No,
They came out on their own and then,
but we talked to the people, and they said that they saw no serious issues there. There is a place on the outlet side of that where it is out to the pavement, so it's a,
So, this is the Scarborough office?
yes.
So I guess I would like if someone has verbally said they don't see any serious issue with this, that they need to render that to writing.
Well, they sent us a letter telling us that, I don't know exactly what the verbiage was in the letter, but pretty much they thought it was all set. Dwayne has been up there several times, Dwayne Woodson, and looked at it and recommended that they come out and do something to it. In fact, he told them they could fix it, and he relayed to me that they said they didn't think there was a problem there, so.
Well, it'd be nice to have something in writing from them.
I'll get you copies of all the correspondence that we had too.
But this is something that, if we have a torrential rain, it's going
Wash out
to,
that bridge.
gonna start washing it. And once it starts washing it, it gets jellified. I mean, this is probably one of the worst times, because once that soil gets soft and loose with the frost coming out and gets some heavy vibration, you know, we could have some serious issues there.
Yeah, and we even forwarded the pictures that Gordon took into Scarborough.
Can we go back to page 1 on this Hamilton Road? This is the Hamilton Road Bridge. You're gonna see that, I believe, in the request for funds under the Road Review Committee. I took Owens up there while I had him out here, and he looked at both that and looked at the Straw Mill Brook Road. I believe one is gonna be put in one year and one the next to do the engineering on. As you can see, can you point that out, Gordon?
Yeah, Doug, you should take it, it's that button there. Yep.
This right here is a hole that's probably 8 inches, 6 to 8 inches tall and 5 inches wide. That is a hole right through the sporting girder. There's another one starting right there. And tapping this with a hammer very lightly, you get way back to here and over beyond what you can see here before you get any solid sound at all. The rest of it, I could easily take a regular nail hammer and go right through that beam. There's very little left of that beam. As you can see, we have separation down to the bottom here. It has eroded, and the bottom is actually falling away from this. I don't know who can remember here, but I'm going to say in the late 50s, early part of the 60s, that's all there was there for a road, was those two culverts. They're about probably 18 feet, 16 or 18 feet. That's what was there for a road. Then they went up there and poured this half a bridge, extending the culverts. Rather than extending the culverts, maybe there was more culverts there, I don't know, but they poured this half bridge and never went back and finished it. So the concrete up here, you can see the deterioration right there, and you can see the edge is deteriorated. This is deteriorated. I don't know, we didn't get underneath the bridge. We didn't put waders on to go up underneath the bridge. But I have serious concerns as to whether we should start posting this. That's why I took Owens up there, to see what he said about his thoughts on posting this to a weight limit. Whether we should run the risk of 100,000-pound trucks, if they decide to do some logging up there, or concrete trucks, or even wheelers, triaxles, going up across there, and, what our liability is. I'm bringing that forward to you, and it's up to the board to make a decision what they want to do.
Do you know if that's part of a school bus run because of that housing development that's up
Oh,
on
yeah,
top of the
school
hill?
buses go up there all the time.
So that's gonna provide daily use with those weighted vehicles that have kids being transported to the schools.
Yeah, I don't know how many school buses go up there, but I know there's more than one. Could we go to page 2, please? This is the upward side. As you can see, the beavers have put a little dam up here. And you can see this is just the rock head walls. These culverts over here are only marginally good. If it was just the culverts, I wouldn't worry. I think we could keep the traffic to that side of the bridge. We probably wouldn't be in a problem. But on this side here, I'm not sure. Some of this wood timbers up here has started to deteriorate. And these walls that you can't see down here, you can just barely see that wall right there, is deteriorating as the one on the left-hand side is. We're looking from the downward stream to the upward part of the stream. And this is part of the area where we're having so much trouble when we have a normal winter with Hamilton Road flooding and the flooding that's taking place on 202. If you look on to the right there, it doesn't show in this photo, we now have a steady stream of water pouring down through there. That ditch has eroded into a gravel bottom, and now, according to the engineers, will be classified as a brook, what was a ditch, because slow but surely, all of the other water courses between Hamilton Road and East Waterboro are getting blocked off. We're getting way more water flowing in this direction than we was 20 years ago. The property owners that own the old railroad bed and own the adjoining property to this over in here, and then the railroad bed would be over there, have, demanded access, so small culverts have been put in there. We looked at that, and with a permit by rule, we can take out the culverts that have been put in there and put in one 75-foot culvert to handle that drainage, because those culverts are now caved in, and the water's flowing underneath the culverts. There's no water going through the culverts. There again is one of the reasons that we're having backup, because the culverts are now kind of operating like a dam. They never were put in deep enough to begin with. So back over in this area over here, you have the small pond. Then you go way back over there, and you have the ditch that comes down behind the old Herschel Wooded property and goes out through until it connects to the brook that goes underneath 202 by the old Ethel Cannon house, where the Hamilton property is now. That culvert underneath Route 202 is not capable of handling the flow of water that comes down through there, so then it backs that up, and if you've noticed, I'm sure all of you have, that Mr. Hamilton's property floods, and he needs some kind of a watercraft to get in and out of there in the spring. And this is just a problem that is getting increasingly more dramatic.
Now, for those that are not necessarily familiar, or as familiar with you are, with the old homes in town, this would be the brook that runs just to the left of the Lions Club, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Goes behind the Lions Club. It's just above Colby Drive. They took the bridge out that was in the old road, I believe, the old 202. But when they put the new 202, they never put culvert enough underneath there. For many years, we didn't have as serious a problem as we have now. But as I've told you before, if you took a walk up the railroad bed, you'd find every one of those culverts up there have either collapsed or the brush and the beavers have dammed them up, and there's no more flow into the heath. Everything now is going to flow downward toward the Hamilton Road. The Hamilton Road has created a dam. So we have an extremely serious issue here that somebody's got to address. And this bridge here, as you can see here, and the splits over here and the splits over there in the concrete are gonna be a, major project. I do not believe that they put in for a replacement for the bridge for this year. I believe they put in for a, engineering study, and at the time, we had gone for $8,000, which after coming out and looking at this project, they've upped their estimate to $10,000. That's a plan ready. We discussed several different types of bridges. I don't think we need to discuss them tonight, unless you want to.
This isn't a state aid road here, Hamilton?
Well, it was probably, at one time, it was a, they call it a TIR or whatever.
TRI,
TRI or whatever.
Which stands for,
Town Road Improvements.
So there was probably like this URIP money that we get. It could only go on certain roads and all that stuff.
TRI money was either
I can't-
16 or 18 feet wide. You couldn't make more than a 2-foot cut, and you couldn't put more than a 2-foot fill. So that's why, if you look at the Blueberry Road, if you look at the West Shore Road, if you look at Middle Road, those roads were built. Batch Hill was built at least 3 times with TRI money that I could remember in the years that I've been doing this, okay? If you're familiar with Batch Hill on the Middle Road. But,
I mean, I can't recall when they did this bridge. I mean, that goes way back. I mean, that's, and I don't, I guess it puzzles me why they would have 2 culverts turning into a box. Other than that one piece of it was the original 1-lane road probably, right?
well, it's just like everything else. One thing you can not say is this town has overexpended on luxury. We've usually, patched things up and made do.
But if I remember that when we went in and cleared out all of the debris and everything out of this brook, and Walt was up, and it really was because the Pierce property was being flooded at that point in time, right on the corner.
Well, if you go back, Dennis, if you remember, when Roland Pierce had his junkyard down behind his house,
Yeah.
he allowed the town to put a 3-foot culvert from what's now the pond over across his property. And if you drive up there, just the 202 side of the railroad track, you will see that original ditch. You can see it down through there. And then, as years progressed, the town didn't keep the ditch cleaned as they agreed, so Roland said, "You didn't keep the ditch clean, you have no easement across my property, take your culvert out." So that's when they took the culvert out and ditched alongside of the railroad tracks, across the railroad tracks, down to put the water, instead of the water going to the right-hand side and missing this bridge and culvert combination, it now has to flow through this. So you got all that added capacity that you never had before.
what's it gonna take to fix it? Or is that up to the engineering study?
Well, what's
You
it
got 10 grand,
take?
right? That's what they're gonna have to ask for? I mean, I think this, we can go look at the budget, but isn't there 8 in the
There is.
request, so it's gonna have to go up.
We're gonna have to ask for $10,000, and I don't know whether the Straw Mill Brook one was put in this year's CIP and Hamilton next year, or vice versa, but this one definitely needs to be moved ahead of the other one. We went over and looked at the Straw Mill Brook one also, and where the old bridge was has now all collapsed into the brook, because they never removed the head walls of the old bridge. Do you remember that bridge, Dennis?
Over on Straw Mill Brook?
Yeah, when we used to go down in the hollow and come up out?
Yep.
Well, when they built the new road, they put in 2 culverts and just took the bridge top off and left the walls, and now the walls are undermined and caved in. So you got two big culverts flowing into a very narrow opening, and that all needs to be excavated out to give that free flow. It's not my intent to bring you bad news. I'm just trying to bring you up to date.
Well, I think it's news that we need to hear, but it almost seems as this is one of those projects that you can't phase in over several years because one is contingent upon the other. You almost have to do them one right after the other or fairly simultaneously in order to correct the whole problem at large.
Well, the West Road issue in my view, is a state issue. We might have some
Right.
obligation to assist with that, but until that road is no longer classified as state aid road.
I don't think we got, in my personal opinion, it's a state road. We have absolutely zero obligation there.
Well,
All we gotta do is convincing people that
Right.
it needs some
I
work.
understand that, but we maintain it in the winter and those kind of things, so there is, I would agree with you. With the way it's classified now, we shouldn't have to do anything to the bridge, right? My guess is that'll get somewhat convoluted before all is said and done, but
Under this,
these roads, whether it's this one or the one on Straw Mill Brook Road, or the next question's gonna be, you can go right down them, Jellison Road, you can go the whole gamut of every road that has a major brook that goes through it. There has been absolutely zero, nada, no money spent on any of those culverts 50 years.
well, just to keep you updated, Jellison Road is gonna have new culverts
Yep.
this year, okay? Part of the CIP money is gonna go on Jellison Road because those culverts are deteriorated to where the bottoms are going in them. And, they gotta be repaired, so we're gonna repair them. But this bridge here, I don't know what the lifespan of this bridge is. I can tell you, in my opinion, it's exceeded its lifespan now. I mean, it's been in there, I know, more than 50, or very close to 50 years.
From the culvert openings to the end of the box on the other side, how many feet is that?
The total width,
Yeah.
probably 32 feet, I'm only guessing.
I mean, where that pitch is taken from is really at the end of the cement, right, basically?
Pretty much. We were standing right at the end of the concrete. And I would say that it's in the 30s feet, 32, 34 feet, something like that. We might have even measured, we measured openings on the other side to see if we could get by using a 75-foot culvert and put it in under a permit by rule, and we can.
That's the total width, right? Of the whole road width?
Which one, God?
The pavement
The
would be
32
less
feet.
than that.
The 30, though, that's, Dennis asked me, from the end of this culvert here on the picture on the right to the, let me use this pointer, from the culvert end right there
Yeah.
to the end right here. Is that, if I understood him right, that's what he wanted to know. I'm saying 32 or 34 feet.
Or looking through from
Okay,
that cement all the way through that culvert on the left.
Looking from here to where the beavers have got
Right.
it dammed up
Yeah.
right there. It's 30 odd feet. I can measure it
Okay,
for
I
you.
misunderstood. I thought you meant from the distance between this edge of the
No,
road
no.
here and where it meets the culvert is how many feet?
No. And there's what, 22, 24 feet of pavement on top of it?
20 probably. There's not a lot of extra on the outlet side, as you can see. Can you back up one picture there, Dave, please? Right there, you can see that there's not, the concrete and the pavement is probably within a foot of the edge of that concrete. So the concrete extends out a little further than than the bridge, and on the other end, of course, there's riprap, and there's a wall over there, so it's a little further on the inlet end, on that side over there. It's a little wider.
Something for discussion for tomorrow night, right?
Yeah.
Well, the Hamilton Bridge, we've got the recommendation from the engineer, though, about the weight restriction now. If that's something, Nancy, would we have to have a public hearing on that or anything? I mean, if it's a safety issue, is that something that we
I'm
should
not
just
really
make a
sure.
determination
We'd
on?
have to check into
There's
it.
no, there's no public input. It's,
I think the
Just
board can do it
safety
as
issue
an
is done.
emergency rule.
Yeah, I think that-
I mean, my concern is if we have an engineer telling us that we should consider that because of the condition of the bridge, I think that that's something we need to do sooner rather than later, like maybe tonight.
Yeah, I think when it's brought to our attention, we have a duty to move on it, and I think because of the emergency nature, that the board can take immediate action.
so, I mean, he's not telling us to do anything other than what we'd normally do in the spring anyway. Weight restrictions, so.
So the chair would entertain a motion, if it takes one, to instruct the road commissioner to post that appropriately.
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded to have the road commissioner post this bridge with whatever weight limits he feels is appropriate to maintain what integrity is left of this bridge. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried.
And the last issue that I have at this minute is the trees blocking the Hamilton Brook on the town property. I've checked with two different people. The trees have been down too long to be of any value to anybody. I talked to Owens. We went and looked at it. This is a situation where he put in a call to DEP and asked them about blowdowns in the brook, and he didn't get an answer that was of any significance. So,
I can hear it now. Those trees now belong to the brook.
yeah, well, as far as I'm concerned, you know, the brook isn't paying any way here, so, and the water's passing by, it's transient water. So it has no residency requirement. So we don't have to consider that. I think we can remove those trees. I talked to Brian Reeder about it. He said, you know, that when they're logging, that if they find trees in the water courses, that, you know, they remove them. They would not be interested in going in and doing anything about that. And he said that would take, you know, what they refer to as an old style skidder with a grapple and a cable, but I don't think you can get around down in there with a skidder and a grapple. I think you take a small excavator in there with a thumb and pick them up and cut them off and drag them out and get them out. And even if we just drag them up on the bank and leave them, because unless you want to dispose of them, but, you know, you're going to have to decide what you want to do with them. So I'd say the longer we leave them there. And if you look, there is one tree that's directly across from where the little book sale place is, Joe Fucciato, how do you pronounce that?
Okay, Joe Fortunato.
Fortunato, yes. Across where he had his little bookstore, there's one tree that's broke off that we noticed is being hung up. It's a hanger, and it's gonna come down one of these days, not too distant future.
So what's the cost involved in getting those trees removed?
I would say you've got 3 or 4 days getting them out of there with a small excavator and you know, a couple guys with chainsaws.
So is that anything that's in your budget for this year?
Well,
I mean, I guess my take, Doug, is you're the road commissioner. If the money's in your budget and it needs to be done, my opinion, get it done.
Yeah.
it isn't something we've planned on doing, and I guess we'll have to wait until after we have this special town meeting to decide what's in our budget, okay? Right now, if you look through the budget, you'll find that, you know, how much are we gonna get back, Nancy, 50,000?
I don't know, we looked at it the other day, 30 something, I think it was.
Well, it should be 20 and 4 and 11, anyway.
19. 24, 11, and 19, right?
Well, there's 4 in there from what the state pays.
And plus you got the funds coming from Bagley Road too.
Yeah, we got a little coming from there.
So is this brook going overflows in the springtime, rainy falls? How much area is that covered out there, the forest floor?
Well, where these trees are down, David, it's created a new path down through the woods. I mean, there's a fairly wide area there, but it's now so encumbered with dead and fallen trees that every one of them creates a dam and it holds the water back. So the further up we go toward the Hamilton Road, the more restriction we have. It can flow underneath 202, but then it runs into all these restrictions before it hits the mill pond. So,
So really, it needs to be cleaned out totally. I mean, to
these
make-
trees are slow but surely going deeper and deeper into the water.
Yeah.
Excuse me, originally, they were just falling on their limbs, and they were up out of the water. Now the limbs are falling off, the trees are down into the water. So, you know, that's an issue.
Thank you, Bud.
You're welcome.
The culvert underneath your road, underneath the McClucas Road, is deteriorating.
One between the 2 ponds.
Yes?
Yeah, that's been, they've replaced it twice since I've lived up there, during big washouts, but this last one's held a little better, but you can see the water is actually going around. It's created a new path through there. It moved a lot of gravel out into the
Tremendous amount of gravel out into
the bigger part of the pond, yeah.
small pond. Anything else you want at this time?
Did you want to go with the Chapman Ridge, or don't we need to do that?
That's on the agenda for later this evening.
Well, if he's standing up here, why don't we do it now?
That's what I was thinking.
I mean, I'd move to bring that forward.
All right.
Might as well be.
We have a
talking about
second?
Yep.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to make an adjustment in the agenda and bring the discussion of Chadwick Ridge Road repair up to the present conversation. Is there any
You have
discussion?
that, David, on film?
Garrett's one of them, you got all three?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is there any discussion on that? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? We're gonna deal with that, so I'll give you the,
20.
you want it?
You've all got the paperwork there. If you read down through it, you'd see that this is going to be very involved. This is going to involve the Army Corps of Engineers, the Maine DEP, the Saco River Corridor Commission. We've got to do a hydro flow on the water. There is a lot of work to do to get this repaired.
It would appear that this, with the forestry be involved? Because it looks like you're gonna have to take some trees down. They're pretty well deteriorated on that road.
Hey, we need to go back to our DOT discussion
Yeah,
about
well,
the bridge.
That's what
Perfect
I was
timing.
thinking. He come just at the wrong time for him and the right time for us. As you can see right here, this is eroding here. These are the telephone poles that were laid there. And you can see that they've undermined, they've eroded there. And if you get up on top here, you can run a 2x4 from the top beside the pavement and it comes out right here. So these things are going to be, this thing is, well, I don't know if one picture's any better than the other. This, as you can see, how high the water gets up there. And from that point vertically to the front of that log right there is not more than, I'm guessing 4 feet at the most. And if you was to go back here and back over here, if we had a view of that, you'd see that this is cut in there 25 feet. This is a Chadman's Ridge Road, Aaron, on the Route 111 end, where the,
117.
117.
excuse me, 117, where the, what did I say, 25?
He said 111.
You said 111.
Yeah, okay, 117. This is where the arc in the river is, and it creates a epitide, if you will, or a whirlpool, or a vortex, and it's causing the water to circulate like this, and it's eating this shore. Right out here, 20 feet from there, there's a huge pile of sand. We need to do something. There's 14 houses in here, and that's the only way out. But we're looking into the cost of the engineering and even trying to get permits to do it. The Army Corps of Engineers needs to be involved, the Sauk River Corridor Commission, the DEP, Inland Fisheries and Game, and for all I know, somebody that's into the historical business, they may claim there was an Indian buried there or something, I don't know. That's what we ran into on the Saco River. So, but since I received this, I've had 3 conversations with Owen. The last conversation won't help us tonight. It won't help us decide whether you want to put this, but I think that we should still go ahead with some funding. But what we have come up with today, if you want me to proceed with it, is we are going to try to set up a on-site visit before March 13th with DEP, IF&W, and the Army Corps of Engineers to see if there's some way that we can get a speeded up, less expensive approval to do some retaining. The water there is very shallow, so we're not talking about a current. It's clear. It won't cost us anything to have these people come out, and I'm willing to take the time to meet with them and try to put our best foot forward as to why we shouldn't allow that road to get washed out and strand 14 houses in there, and see if we can get some common sense out of these people. With your backing, we will do that.
I think it would be a good idea to kind of get everybody on the same page, and I think getting them out there to look at the problem means a lot more than just sending them a letter or sending them pictures. Throw your stick in the water and they can see how it's...
You know, a look might be worth 1,000 words. So if you want to go along with that, I'll be happy to work with Owens to arrange for the meeting to take place, and then we'll write your report afterwards. It, you know, we'll have to take the money out of my budget to cover their time for sending somebody out there, but, and as well as the West Road. I talked it over with Nancy and decided that, and the money to cover that cost is I'm gonna take out of my budget, because I feel that it's important that we have that, you know, and I guess while Aaron's right here, I'm going to, this is the West Road, we've been to DOT, and this is the bridge by Federal Street, box culvert. They say that this is not an issue. You can see that the guardrail is being held by one bolt on the top. This is all undermined. Over here on the top, there's a hole that you can stick your leg down in the pavement. It's on the pavement side of this, and we have somewhere between 20 and 40 buses a day over that. The bottom's gone, the sides are gone, and this here is now eroded underneath this concrete piece. It's eroded back underneath the pavement, and they say there's no problem there. Their standards are so. I'll give you that, and then she'll make me another one, I'm sure. So then you think we get into the
Actually, you can take my copy. You can take mine, I can print one off anytime.
It's back up on the screen for him now, anyway, if you want.
Can you put that back up on the screen for us, David?
You did.
Oh, I'm sorry. As you can see, this is undermined under here, Aaron.
Yeah.
It's undermined over there, and there's no bottom left in the culvert. This is eaten in there 6 or 8 inches into the concrete. Same over here, and this is a split line here. Next picture, please. This is you can see that the bottom of the leg of the guardrail, if anybody was to hit that even with a small car, they would go right out through there. And here you can see the clear break in the concrete. This is the top of the concrete. You can see that there's just one little corner of it caught. And again, Scarborough MDOT says that this is no problem. I'd be happy to meet down there with you anytime you want to go out and look at it.
Yeah.
This here is eroded more, and it's eroded over here so that there's no footings left underneath the concrete at all. And we're putting several hundred children a day up across this, plus heavy loads. I think there's one more picture. There we go. This shows the bottom of the culvert is completely gone, and it's undermined both on the right and the left-hand side. This is the right-hand side over here of the bridge, facing it from the downstream side. You can run a stick 2 to 2.5 feet underneath that pavement right there, which is clearly underneath that concrete, clearly underneath the pavement. That's a bicycle inner tube there. So we certainly have a serious issue here.
I'll send copies of the reports on West Road and Hamilton Road to school district too, so that they will be aware. Because I know they have made complaints about the West Road too, their bus
Yes.
drivers.
The school has, the state police has, the sheriff's department has, as well as a lot of individual people.
And DOT has requested to hear from them directly for any complaints, because they was calling here and I was letting them know, but they want to hear from them directly.
One other note, we have a place between 646 and 639 Ospey Hill Road where, for some apparent reason, the road's collapsing. No idea why. It wasn't collapsed there 2 months ago, but there's an area there that's probably sunk in that much, and it's probably that big around, and the side of the road is rolling up. Whether a spring has developed there or what's happened, but Tommy went up today and dumped coal patch in it, but we have a serious situation developing there. We have all kinds of problems. We got more problems than we got cures.
So back on Chadwin Ridge for a
Yep.
minute, you are gonna move forward for that meeting, right?
Yes.
You certainly have the blessing of this board. I don't know if you need to take a vote on it, because it's just preliminary at this point, but wouldn't it seem also that anything that the Army Corps of Engineers becomes involved in, that generally they have a federal money source to assist them in this? So we may be able to tap into that resource potentially?
Not that I'm aware of. There might be some federal money out there, but not that I'm aware of, Gordon. They're just like the DEP, you know, there's some funds for some things. If you're into mitigation, there's funds for that, but we can check.
What's the other side of the road? On
What's
the other
that?
side, what's on the other side of the road? Can we move the road?
Well,
Funny you should mention that, huh?
I've already looked into that.
Well, we'll all be old and retired before anybody, Army Corps of Engineers or anybody else says that they're gonna change what God is creating that river to do. It just happens to be there's a road in the way.
I have been in, and I have the name and address of the people who own the property adjacent to this. And Nancy and I had a small discussion about it, and she said, wait until I come in here tonight and talk to you folks and see what you want to do. I suppose that there's a possibility that, you know, I was not going to suggest that we move the road. I was going to suggest that we see these people, because there's a lot of pine trees on the other side. If we could cut some of these and get an easement on maybe a couple, 300 feet of this, the other side of the road, take the trees out, stump it, and put a little gravel in case the road ever, you know, does get deteriorated, there would be a place for people to drive, so they wouldn't be trapped.
No, I'm not suggesting we take the whole width of the road and set it over. I'm saying, as you suggest, that we can take, 15, 20 feet, and literally over time, we're gonna move the road over there. So I just don't see, this is a river that's been there a lot longer than any of us, right? And the river is affecting the change. There just happens to be a road close by. And it's not like something man-made did this, so I just don't see anybody jumping up and down saying, yeah, we're gonna allow some alteration of major tributary that goes into the Saco River.
The problem is, we're not looking to alter it, we're just looking to bring it back to what it was originally, or some part thereof.
Stabilize it.
Stabilize it. Is this a stabilization project? I mean, it's, they do this all the time. They're up, if you can believe it, up above that, right at the base of the dam. We got an ongoing problem right there. Luckily, the town of Waterboro is not being involved in it, but the federal dam people said that they gotta move everything out of the bottom of that river that's been washed away from the base, gotta be moved back up there again. Now they're with DEP, the Army Corps of Engineers. Now you got one federal branch saying you gotta do it, you got somebody else saying, hold on, why you gotta do it? Because we don't want the people downstream to be wearing this dam and all the water it's holding back, but, so, I mean, we got issues there.
Well, it would seem it probably wouldn't happen in my lifetime, maybe, but we're just postponing the problem, because it seems like that erosion, if we move the road over, the erosion's gonna continue until at some point somebody's gonna have to deal with the stabilization.
This is a little bit like the federal deficit, right? Somebody else is gonna pay for it. Long time after we're gone.
Probably. I was just thinking back to Doug's earlier statement about how we've been extremely frugal with the roads here. We certainly haven't been in the lap of luxury. And, his comments about the Hamilton Brick Bridge, where they sort of just decided to pour some concrete over the culvert, is, are we doing the same thing again?
Well, we are, I mean, eventually, you've gotta, do something to stabilize the banks here. So, I guess I've got to direct.
So it didn't hurt to look, anyway.
I won't take any more of your time.
But I think then, Dennis brings to a point that if you're exploring one side with the Army Corps of Engineers, maybe a phone call to the other side with the landowners. Because either way it goes, there's still gonna probably have to be some type of area like you did up on Windy Way, you know, putting it off to the side so that you can still maintain a traffic flow while you're working.
The whole point of this is tonight is if you're gonna put any money in a proposed budget, I mean, we got 2 weeks to come up with some alternative plans. If we put an article in there and then we find that we have an alternative, then we will just delete the article at town meeting.
Now, if the DOT wants to hit directly, Nancy, from complaints, could we not post the address and telephone number on the website or something? If you just call, or contact.
I would think that if we wrote a letter to the to the superintendent of schools, that he could get somebody down there to write a letter to MDOT with their, and could have all the bus drivers sign it. I mean, that would certainly show them some concern, I would think. I mean, you got Aaron here, maybe you can pound on him a little bit, you know? He looks like he's young and sturdy, he stands to pound it. And, you know, thrash him a couple times and then get a hold of John Courtney and thrash him 2 or 3 times and maybe we'll make some progress.
Sounds like somebody's thrashing somebody out there now.
They're putting the gates down. They're locking everybody in.
Yeah.
As far as the money, we can see after town meeting what we got, Tammy, and if we take some of the stuff out now and take some of it out later on, we could at least get the main channel opened up without taking all of the trees out of there. For, you know, okay?
Okay.
Anybody got any other questions? Are we gonna send Aaron and John Courtney a letter on the West Road situation?
Yeah,
as
we'll
well as
get a whole
DOT?
pack.
Now, let's
together.
let's pull what we got from, I'd like to see what the DEP, and I'm sure we looked at it at one time, but, I mean, the
I want to say, it must have been.
DOT, if the DOT says there's nothing wrong with it, and they put that in writing, then that's lovely.
I don't know,
My view.
I'd have to dig at my photos,
It
they're
was
all
some-
date stamped.
Yeah, it was that time.
I mean, we brought this up before, because Gordon and I went over there and took pictures of it maybe 3 or 4 months ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was longer than that.
It might have been, maybe it was in the summer.
It
I'm
was,
sure that Aaron has access to Mr. LePage, Governor LePage, and he probably can lay that on his
It's
table.
interesting getting back to Chapman Ridge Road, I just pulled up the map. The flood, you know, the wetlands delineation goes right up into that road. So, and there's one landowner that we'd have to deal with.
is that part of the inundation zone? Is that what it is? or-
The wetland delineation that Sebago has put on all of our tax maps, that delineation comes up into that road.
Yeah, there's one landowner you got to deal
High water
with.
mark, basically.
That landowner has a piece of property there that's 22,
And it's fairly big size, wraps halfway around Isinglass Pond.
I don't know, 22 acres or 22 and a half acres or something like that. I should be able to see it here, but I don't. There's a house, 22.5 acres.
Thank you, Doug, appreciate it.
See you tomorrow.
Wow.
Okay. As we are still in the hearing and delegation portion, I guess he walked out, so I won't ask him if he has anything to say right now.
He probably does, he's probably here to report on Augusta.
Moving right along.
Moving right along.
Because we still have a budget thing to do after tonight.
We have correspondence, the treasurer's weekly financial reports, a fundraising notice from Leavitt's Mill Free Health Clinic, Representative Libby's newsletter, A notice from the Center for Grieving Children, now in York County. A routine notice from Time Warner Cable, reference programming and broadcaster agreements. And 2 confidential items. One is a copy of the tax assessor's letter regarding an abatement request, and a confidential copy of the town attorney Cole's letter regarding a settlement offer. Any of those items, with the exception of the confidential items, can be either viewed in the packet online this week, or you can contact the administrative assistant to the town administrator or the town administrator, and those items will be made available to you. Again, everything will be made available to you except the confidential items. Moving on to reports. Selectmen's report. Yes, Tim.
Last night had the 12-town group meeting, and we had Arlene Carroll here, who was presenting Fueling February and Beyond. It's a program that is run in Alfred, where they collect bottles and cans and use it to fund heating assistance. What's interesting about this program is it's not geared towards people who qualify for LIHEAP or for general assistance. It's more for the folks that have a hiccup in their budget every once in a while, and don't necessarily qualify for assistance, but there's just a little something there, and they can only get assistance twice, and it's only for $100 each time. So it's just the packet of the information. If anybody's interested in reading about it, you have it in your stuff tonight. Other than that, we kind of talked about town meetings that are coming up. We talked a little bit about increases for payroll. A lot of municipalities in the 12-town group this year seem to be putting in some kind of a wage increase this year for employees. 2 to 3% kind of seemed to be where most people were going. I believe it was Buxton is